Hi guys, Craig here. Welcome to another edition of the podcast, Tell Craig Your Story. Today we'll be speaking to my friend Nathan Halls. Now Nathan has done some part-time roles in TV commercials. He's done some reality TV shows, some short films, but he got his big break in 2016 where he starred in the movie Hacksaw Ridge, which was produced by Mel Gibson and starred Sam Worthington and Vince Vaughn. But before we go, please go to our Facebook page. We're also on YouTube, and there's a link there. It gives you all access to where Tell Craig Your Story is. Find your preferred podcast and make sure that you're subscribing to the podcast so you know when Tell Craig Your Story is uploaded. All right, so here we go. Nathan Halls on Tell Craig Your Story podcast. Hey Nathan, how you doing, mate?
Good, mate. Yourself?
Good to see you. Good to see you. Thank you for your time.
That's okay.
How long has it been since I've sort of seen you last time? It's been a couple of years now.
It has, with you being over in China, and I guess all the boys that we used to hang out with have gone on and had families, and
yeah, that's right.
Moved away,
yeah.
So it's kind of hard to catch up with people, but
a lot of little ones running around now.
Yeah, I think I'm the only one out of the group that doesn't have one. So
yeah, right. Yeah, right. Still keeping to your career path.
Yeah. I'm pretty focused on that at the moment, so it's kind of hard to go and meet someone.
And how did we meet? It was through a mutual friend, Adam?
Yeah, through a mutual friend, Adam, who now has a little fella.
Yeah, a little boy.
Little boy.
That's great.
Living in Sydney, so...
Actually, he's just moved to Newcastle, exclusive.
Oh, really?
Yeah, he's moving to Newcastle.
There's a scoop.
Yeah, there you go. So, maybe 5 or 6 years? Well, I can't even remember the last time I saw you. I think it was actually around the time that you were doing Hacksaw
Ridge. Yeah, so
that was 2015.
2015. August 2015 we started shooting that, yeah.
A few drinks to catch up on, right? Yeah.
Yeah.
So... As with all my guests, you're not a guest, you're a friend. So,
yeah.
I like to do some research. I know you as a friend, but like you're professional, I'm sort of a little iffy. So I went on Google and had a look, and I found a profile page of you. So it's saying that actor,
yes,
an extra actor.
We'll start out as an extra, yeah.
Right, extra. Model.
A little bit of modelling, yeah.
Come on. and featured in TV reality shows as well.
Yeah.
Okay, so let's go with the acting part first. I was just super shocked. I was talking to you in Newcastle and you're telling me about this movie that you were in. And I didn't really know that you were sort of pursuing this at the time.
Yeah.
And all of a sudden, you're telling me stories about Mel Gibson and Vince Vaughn and all that.
Yeah.
So tell us, how did all that come about with Hacksaw Ridge?
Yeah, so basically, backtrack a few years.
Yeah.
I've always wanted to sort of do acting and do film and TV. And when I was extremely younger, I did a few plays and at school, and sort of I probably should have pursued it back then a little bit harder than what I did.
So where did you grow up in? Was it Newcastle?
Yeah, so I lived in Raymond Terrace.
Okay.
I was born in Sydney, but we moved to Newcastle when I was very young, and basically grew up in the Raymond Terrace for most of my life until my mum met her partner and we moved over to Woodbury. That all changed from there. But yeah, lived in Newcastle pretty much my whole life.
Right.
And then I've travelled around a bit. I was in the military for 5 years, from 2002 to 2006.
So what made you go into the military at that time?
Well, my grandfather was in the military for 22 years.
Gotcha.
And leaving school, I kind of wasn't too sure what to do. I didn't do too well at school with grades, so
right.
University wasn't an option, or college or anything like that. I wasn't too sure what to do, so the army was the best solution. But it helped me grow up and learn some valuable life skills.
Yes. They're very strict with, with the way that they do things, right?
Yeah, very regimental and very like time management
Yes.
and it's a pretty serious job when you think about it. So
I knew a guy that did it at the barracks at Adamstown.
Oh yeah.
And he would always say, what was he saying? On time is late, early is on time.
Yeah.
So he was very, very strict as well. So I can sort of see, maybe he took it to a little extreme, but I can definitely see the benefits of...
Yeah, it does help. Like, that's one of my pet peeves is being late or someone being late anywhere.
Yes.
That's probably back to my army days, but that's how I got to sort of travel around Australia. And when I was 17, I was living in Darwin as a 17-year-old in the army.
Right.
For
what was that experience like?
It was different. It was being like 18. I think I just turned 18 actually. But you've got friends for life. Like that's literally what happens. And so you had all your friends with you, and I was getting one trip home a year to my next of kin. So basically 12 months I was up in Darwin.
Wow. Did you go on any duty? Were you Call of Duty? Did you actually have to go to any other places outside of Australia? Or?
Well, when I first started, there was a few times where there was a few of us on standby to go when East Timor was happening.
Right.
But it was just basically for peacekeeping, and then obviously things ramped up. Obviously 9/11, that was the year before I joined the army, so that was still pretty high, like high drama, but never got into any kind of standby mode for that, because that would have been big for me to go as an 18-year-old.
Yeah, right.
20-year-old like that. But nowhere overseas. I didn't during the army. A lot of training within Australia,
and what made you stop in the end?
It just wasn't for me.
Yeah, right.
To be honest, I think it's one of those lifestyles you need to either love or.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah.
Like it's pretty full on. Like you're constantly wearing the uniform in a way.
Yes.
And it just wasn't me. So.
And do you think, like, with some people, like, they take it into their family life as well? Like,
Yeah, I think so. If you look at all the old warrant officers and sergeants, you can tell that they're military.
Yes.
The way they speak, and they're very strict in how they talk to people.
1,400 hours.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Yeah, it's always...
800.
Yeah. But, and some of their words that they use, not the everyday person would use.
Right.
But that's how I got to sort of travel around Australia, and I lived in most states in Australia for 2 months.
Did you have a favourite spot, or you always come back to Newcastle?
I always come back to Newcastle, and I love Sydney as well.
Yes.
I did like Perth. I was in Perth for a few months. Right. We trained with the SAS, so I was over there as a parachute rigger, packing their parachutes for them. And
okay. Then after that, where did you go after that?
So I was in Darwin for 2.5 years, and then didn't like Darwin, and I wanted to be closer to family and friends in Newcastle. Mm-hmm. And pretty much the only way to do that because I was in transport driving trucks, so the only way you could get out of that was to change careers.
Oh, that's where we sort of kept in contact, right?
Yeah.
Because you were coming into my business, and at the time, yeah, right. Yeah. I remember now.
Yeah. Yeah, transferred to parachute rigger.
Yes.
In about 2004, roughly 2004, and got posted to RAF Base Richmond to 176 Squadron as a parachute rigger. So that was obviously close to home, to Newcastle, friends and family. I was in Sydney again.
Yes.
And that's when I got to do a lot of the fun stuff in the army.
Yeah.
Jumping out of aeroplanes.
Yeah, right. Yeah, right.
So yeah, and then it come to sort of like 2006, and it was just wasn't for me. And then I just put in my discharge papers and got out.
Yeah, right. And then where did you go after? So you were like in the distribution sort of industry. When did you actually start to realise that you wanted to do acting as like pursuing a career? When did you sort of start? Was that at an early age, or did it come, later on?
It really kicked in because you mentioned earlier about my reality TV.
Yes.
So actually, while I was in the army, I went and saw Peter Powers, the hypnotist,
Right.
at just an RSL in Richmond.
Right.
And didn't think anything of it. And when you do if you're on stage with the hypnotist, you actually sign a waiver and sign some documents before you go up. Anyway, I didn't think anything of that, and probably 12 months later, I get a phone call from Channel 10 saying that Peter Powers is doing a TV show and would like you to be on it.
Yeah, right.
And
As a person on stage, or
yeah, as a person that get hypnotised, and they travel around Sydney and
right.
make you do some crazy things, and so I said yes immediately, and that's when I was in the army, so I was able to take time off to go and do that, and that kind of brought back that passion of being on TV, and
right.
not so much for reality, but it's just the whole TV in general. Like I love.
And was that you're like people finally starting to sort of recognise you, like
A little bit, yeah. That was weird. Like we'd go out. I mean, we used to always go out together.
Yeah.
Back in the day, and I had this random girl come up. Actually, a guy come up to me and said, "Oh, you're that guy out of Peter Powers."
Yeah.
And I was like, it was the only time that anyone has ever recognised me back in the day. And
so then, was it agents sort of calling you, or do you go and find an agent that best suits you? How does that all work?
Well, because I was living in Sydney, that's where most of the acting work is.
Right.
There's not much acting work in Newcastle, so.
Why is that?
I don't think there's a big enough. I mean, there's lots of theatre companies in Newcastle, and they do like minimal work for the Hunter Valley.
How's your singing voice then?
I'm not very good at singing. I'm definitely an actor. I got actually singing lessons once off an ex-girlfriend. She thought it would build my confidence, and so I went for like 2 singing lessons in Lambton. It was this old lady, and she had me laying on my back with a pillow on my stomach, talking about my diaphragm, and
yeah,
and it just did not work. I had no tone. Yeah, I had no tone, but yeah, so I gave up on the singing.
Yeah,
quite early, and then so once I left the army, I looked for an agent in Sydney because I was still living in Sydney at the time, and I was working for a shop fit out company, Australasian shop fit outs. Huh. So you basically were going into a shopping centre, building a shop.
So sorry, before you go there, how does it work with like an agency? Like, do they find you? Do you find them? And how does it all work? Like, is it a commission based? Like you see Entourage and all these sort of things, how they're always working very, very close with their agent. How did it work with you? Like,
so basically my first agent was MCTV. So I signed up with him. You basically walk in and you have a sit-down interview, and they explain the whole TV, what happens, and he was like, his name was Paul Bland, and his agency was more of an extras agency.
Right.
So that's where I wanted to start off, not having any training behind me. I thought being an extra, you can get on set, see how it all works, and as an extra, they take they're all a lot of them are different, but they're basically all the same. So he was taking 10% of what I would make for the day.
Right. And is that like a standard?
Yeah, it's pretty much standard. Yeah.
Yeah.
And then for featured work, if you're lucky enough, he would take 20%, which is kind of high. But in saying that, your agent. So basically, how they look at it is your agent's doing 10% of the work because he takes 10% of the commission.
Yeah.
So you still have to do a lot of the work yourself as well in regards to getting headshots and, keeping it up to date with your profile. And so signed up for as an extra to start with. I got quite a lot of work as an extra.
So let's go through some of the extra works that you've done. So tell us about that. I've got a bit of a list here, but can you just sort of run through the extras that you've done?
So it was a lot of commercials, so pretty much all the people that you see in the background behind all the stars, just in the background for movement and to fill the shot. So I've done a lot of commercials. I've worked on Home and Away.
So tell us about Home and Away.
Yeah, so that was...
Because Home and Away is not just like a Home and Away. It's
Yeah.
It's been going. I don't know how long it's been going. Mid 80s.
Yeah, it's
maybe
been going...
early 90s. It started.
And I grew up on that show, so to work on it was kind of...
I can remember too. Like we'd have to have Mum would have to have dinner cooked by a certain time, so we could all sit down and watch Home and Away while we're eating dinner. So yeah, and apparently Al. The actor, what's his name? The old guy, he's still on.
Oh, Alf, yeah, he's still...
Alf.
I think he's the longest running character in the show.
Wow.
Apart from when Sally, she's now on...
right.
On radio.
On radio, yes.
So she was the longest running character before him, but now she's obviously gone. But
and a lot of their stars have gone off to do bigger and better things as well, like going into especially the British sort of market.
You've also got Chris Hemsworth. He started on Home and Away.
Yeah, right.
He's now Thor, and
of course
he's going pretty good.
So how did you get involved with Home and Away? Tell us about that.
So it was kind of like a weird situation. I was with MCTV, and a lot of the extra agencies work together in a way. So another agency needed an extra to fill a cop role, and I was the exact same size as the uniform that they needed.
Yeah, right.
So I played, and like a lot of my roles, I play a policeman or a detective.
Right.
So yeah, I got the opportunity to go work on Home and Away for a few days as a police officer, just as an extra. But I got to work alongside a lot of the main actors.
So how much do you have to do with research to play a role like that? Not much?
Not really. I mean, I think with my military background as well, I had that...
Gotcha.
That presence of someone with authority.
Yes.
Which I get a lot. Even walking down the street, people say that I walk like I'm still in...
Left, right, left.
So I think it helps, and having weapons training and, military background, it kind of helps to play a police officer. So it wasn't a hard transition. Right. And you're not really doing anything sort of... You're not working very hard, as in chasing chasing someone. You're just basically in an office or...
Yes.
As part of a search team. So it was quite easy, but I guess just looking like you're a police officer.
Yeah, of course.
Yep. Not slouching, and it's pretty easy for me. But
yeah. So you've done Home and Away. I was actually looking this morning, and I saw a video, a commercial for, was it domestic violence? It said down the bottom that you were the abusive father.
Yeah.
So tell us about that.
So yeah, that was with that was one of those lucky times that you get a featured role as an extras agency, which don't come along that often, and that was for the New South Wales government.
Right.
Obviously, with domestic violence the way it is at the moment, especially in recent times with those 3 kids being killed by the father and the wife, tragically.
Sort of public
campaign. Yeah, it was a campaign for child abuse, and when I went to the head office in Sydney for the audition, it was quite intense. It was quite intense, the audition, because I had to be aggressive and...
Yes.
And you've just come from a train ride where you've been listening to music and everything's happy, and then you've got to walk in this room and be,
a different person.
Yeah, you've got to be really mean, and that's not part of who I am. And so the director loved my audition. I could just tell, like, you can go into auditions and you feel like you've nailed it.
Right.
But in saying that, you just never know what they're looking for. So what I noticed was that... and I don't know if they got you to play it on, but very strong accent in that. Is that what they wanted you to do? Like have that Aussie larrikin sort of accent, or did you just went in and did it as normal? Yeah, I just went in as normal, and you put it on a bit. You exaggerate the character.
Yes.
But yeah, it was. I don't know. I just got straight into the character, and it worked, and I literally got a phone call the next day saying,
I got
the job. So
wow.
And then working alongside a little girl, her name was Olivia. She was only 4 years old, and she was amazing on set. And and so
4 years old, an actor at 4 years old. It just it makes me wonder how much pressure that those kids have to go through. You know, the parents sort of pushing them. And,
yeah,
you know, I always think like with Michael Jackson and, you know, kids that have been stars since they were, you know, babies. So, yeah, I always wondered. Sorry, continue.
but yeah, I found, and she was amazing on set, but I found quite professional, like the director and all the crew were very professional in the way that she was treated, and she was only allowed on set for a certain amount of hours, and
Yes.
we kind of, to make her expressions more realistic, we kind of played a game where I was like the angry monster.
Right.
Like, so
Yeah,
we
yeah.
kind of went into this fantasy world.
Right.
So she was in quicksand and I was, you know, coming to save her, but I was scary, and so she had this scary look on her face.
Yeah.
So it was quite amazing how they...
That's great how
Yeah.
to do that.
And it was literally down to the minute. She had, like, she was only allowed on set for a certain amount of hours. And there was one of the producers was saying she's only on set for a couple more minutes. You know, you got 1 minute to get the shot, and then that was it. And she, because they're very strict when they're working with children.
Did you have any sort of? Did you go to any acting training or
No.
anything like that? Wow, so it was all natural.
Yeah, yeah. So I've never.
That's
So
great.
up until recent months, I've got more into my training and like short courses.
Yes,
But back when I first started, there was no.
it's come natural to you.
Yeah.
That's a talent. That's
So,
a talent.
Yeah, I think I feel like I have something in me that's, you hear singers and they're naturally gifted with like a singing voice.
Yes,
I think I have some sort of natural gift of acting,
yes.
like without being too cocky or, you know,
No, absolutely. No.
beating up myself. But
It's like with a lot of things, you've either got a talent or you don't have it. It's very similar to, like you said, a singer and also like a drummer as well. I always say that as well because it's super hard. You've got you've got the kick drum, you've got the cymbals,
Yeah.
the hi-hats, the snare. People can work, practicing all the time. And then you get some guys that can pick up a stick and go, oh, you know.
well, much like yourself, I've seen you play a few times
Yeah.
at a few gigs.
Oh, yeah.
Back in the day,
Yes.
and you're quite talented on the drums and guitar. You play a lot of instruments.
Yeah, I played, like, to start off with, I played guitar
Yeah,
in the bands, but more recently drums.
yeah.
Still going as well.
That's
yeah,
right, I'll have to-
I've got a band in Shanghai, so it's going good.
Yes.
So let's see how we go when I come back to Australia. So be able to sort of keep up to date more with your, with your stories and all that. So, all right, the big one. So your big break. You say you've done your reality TV. So who are the people that you've met? Like in your travels. I mean, I know I want to get back to Hacksaw Ridge. It's like this is like like you said when I was talking to you. I think it was actually the last time I did actually see you. We were just at the bar, and like I said before. Oh yeah, I was working with Mel Gibson, and he was telling me to do this and this, and I was having a joke with Vince Vaughn. And I was like, what the hell? So let's how did this all happen? Tell me about it.
Yeah, so
It's a huge thing.
yeah, so I was working for I went off acting for a bit. I got, as you do, you get comfortable in a job, and you get in the same wage every week. And I was truck driving for a courier company, and got that itch again to get back into acting. And I'm not getting any younger, so back in 2015, I signed back up with my agent who I was with, and then so what they do for some movies is they have a go see. So it's basically you go and stand in front of like people off the show, and they will there might be a small role for you to have on the show or the movie.
Right.
It might be one or two words, or it could be just you're featured in the foreground. So I did that for Hacksaw Ridge, and then they wanted me for 2 weeks as an extra as a soldier, and so I took 2 weeks leave without pay from my truck driving company, which was kind of done on the sly. It was a bit of a secret, but I did that for 2 weeks, and one of the shots that I was in, because sometimes they film a movie back to front. They'll film some scenes that are towards the end of the movie at the start,
yes,
depending on the breakdown of the filming. But one particular scene that I was in was being used at the end, so it would have looked weird if it was at the start, but they're not in the end.
Yeah, right, yeah.
So they asked me if I could work like a bit longer, and I was like, no, I'm not too sure. I don't have any holidays. And
yeah.
So at the time, we had a new boss at the company I was working for, and he wasn't the best boss. And so I gave him a call, and he basically said it's either truck driving or Hollywood.
Wow.
Yeah, and it was...
and that's the thing. Like always, do you stay with your job or do you follow a passion?
Yeah.
You know.
And I think I've learnt more and more since doing that. You just need to take risks in life,
Yes.
and not get safe and comfortable, because there's so much out there. And you got to know your own potential and follow. I know it sounds corny, but follow your dreams. And
Yeah, of course.
yeah, you got to have dreams and
Yeah.
goals. And so it literally took me like half hour to make the decision. And so I rang the boss back and said, "Okay, here's my letter of resignation." And from 2 weeks on Hacksaw Ridge turned into just over 3.5 months.
Wow.
On set.
Wow. So it wasn't actually for the people who don't know, it wasn't done in the US, it was done in Australia, right?
Yeah, so it was done in Western Sydney, just out the back of Campbelltown. There was a farm out there that they filmed on, which is, I think, part of the movie with Nicole Kidman Australia was filmed on.
Right, yeah. Okay.
So they rented out their farm for the 4 months. I think it was around 4 months that the total time they filmed. It actually went over schedule by almost a month.
Right.
So
what was their budget? Do you know what sort of budget they had for the film? Or?
Well, I think initially it was, 30 million. I think, and then I know it went a lot, like well over. Yeah, but they had Japanese investors come over, and because obviously it was based on Okinawa, the Battle of Okinawa, Hacksaw Ridge, and
right.
The Japanese soldiers versus the Americans, and so they flew over, and they obviously put more money down, and it got that extended time. But so the first time working on Hacksaw, the first day was quite amazing because, as you mentioned, Mel Gibson was the director, and Vince Vaughn and Sam Worthington, Andrew Garfield,
wow,
Luke Bracey. He also started off in Home and Away.
So who was I should have researched it, but who was the main character, like the guy that's actually saving? Yeah,
so Doss, that was played by Andrew Garfield. He was the main character.
Right. Great. He played such a great role.
Yeah, so the conscientious objector, so he refused to use a rifle or a weapon, and you could just imagine going into battle not having anything to protect yourself with.
Yes.
But obviously his faith and believing in God, you could kind of see protected him.
So how is it, that was one thing I noticed, how was it with the accent? Because a lot of the people on the cast were from Australia.
Yeah.
So how hard is it to have a good American accent?
Depending on where I guess where in the States the movie is based on. Obviously you got the southern accent. A lot of the time they want just a general American accent.
Yes.
And then you can kind of tweak it here and there. Obviously other parts of America, they're a lot thicker. Like the New York accent's quite hard to do compared to, like, say, a Californian accent.
Yes.
But then it's the southern accent. So for Australians, it's a lot easier to do the southern accent.
Yes.
Just the way we pronounce some words. Yeah. So, yeah, it just depends. I mean, they have dialect coaches that can help you with it all. So.
Yeah, right.
But a lot of them were, like, Farastarani was in it. Ben Ningay, who was on Pack the Rafters.
Yes.
Farastarani was, I think he was from Housewives. and I think he was in Underbelly.
Yeah, right, yeah.
So a lot of Australian actors were in it. But yeah, as I was saying, the first day when we rocked up, we all had to do the obstacle course, and that was out the back of the Silverwater jail.
Yeah, right.
And yeah, we were just all sitting around there as the extras, and all of a sudden these cars pull up, and first car out jumps Mel Gibson, and then the second car's Vince Vaughn and Andrew Garfield, and you kind of have this surreal moment, like, hang on a minute, is that really them? Because you've seen them on movies, and they're such high profile people.
Yeah.
And then they come over to have a chat to you, and you kind of, in a weird way, you just get used to them, like, because they're just normal people.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah.
They're just,
at the end of the day, they're just normal guys.
And so yeah, we did the obstacle course with them for the day, and then filming started a couple of days later.
Right. So how was it to work with Mel Gibson? Like, I've been told, like, reading stuff, he's a bit of a hard ass.
Yeah.
How did you feel about working with him?
I found him really amazing. He was like really hands on.
Yeah.
He literally ended the day covered in dirt, and
yeah,
because
right.
he was literally going into the shot and on the ground and rolling around saying, "Do this, do this, do this," because he wanted it to be perfect. Like,
yeah, right, yeah.
And he's an amazing director from his other previous movies, and
you could just feel that, like, in watching the movie, you could just feel that it was passionate. It had all the emotions running in it.
Yeah, and sometimes he spent longer than what he should have trying to get this one shot because he wanted to make it perfect. And I think it's a real testament to the final result. Like, he's just amazing director.
Yeah, right. And with Vince Vaughn as well, was there any interactions or?
Yeah, would be sitting on like a mound of dirt and waiting for him to set up the cameras or the lighting, and every now and then they'd have a chat. Like, a lot of the time, like, Andrew Garfield was in his own little world.
Yes.
Because obviously they're playing a character, and it's a pretty heavy character.
So many lines, yeah.
So, and exactly, like, memorising lines and how you're going to do something. So you can understand why they don't really want to talk to you. They're not being rude. They're in their zone. But yeah, they'd have a few moments where they would talk to us and get us to do little games, and like, they'd tell us to pick up a rock and hold the rock, and I want you to be sad and then be happy that you've got the rock, and then be concerned why you've got the rock. So it helped with facial expressions. Yeah, right. Yeah. So it was a nice little training kind of exercise that we got to do with him.
Well, it was good too. Like, with Vince Vaughn, like, obviously he's he's always in the comedy sort of movies, so it was good to see him in a role like this, bit of a hard ass.
Yeah.
The corporal, and sort of was good to see him other than just a sort of pigeonhole and like a comedian, comedy sort of shows. But I thought it was really good, and I'll tell you, when I found out that, when you're telling me that it actually premiered, so actually you tell me about that. So the premiere, like, how long did it take you to shoot? It was about 3 months.
It was about 4 months. I think it was started in August 2015, and it wrapped around, I think it was just before Christmas 2015. So a 4 month kind of, and that's fairly long for a shoot. Right. But yeah, that's roughly about the time. 3 to 4 months is about how long sometimes for a lot of movies that they film.
And then how long did it take them to produce, to master it, mix it, cut things out?
Yeah, so
how long did it take?
That would have been, it would have been mid 2016 that we got to go to the premiere. Yeah. Or it was a cast and crew screening. Yes. But not the actual for the main actors. That's obviously a bit different. But yeah, I'd say it was a good 6-7 months before we got to see it, and because I was actually featured in Hacksaw Ridge. Yes. Which is kind of funny, a funny story in itself, which I can get into if you like.
Yeah, go for it.
So yeah, we'd be filming for a while, and I was part of the platoon that was going around through all the battles, and we were filming in Goulburn, and funny enough, we were filming the obstacle course behind Silverwater Jail, but the actual Hacksaw Ridge was filmed behind Goulburn Jail.
Right.
So two jails, and sometimes in between takes we'd hear the jail, the PA system in the jail go off.
Oh,
so we'll be hearing all these things.
Yeah, right.
Which is quite funny. But there was a day when we were filming in Goulburn, and I was always sort of watching what the main actors were doing and what the cameras were doing. Just a bit of, that's how I learn things, is to look at what's going on instead of reading stuff. And then PJ, he was the assistant director, he's worked on Mad Max and Fury Road, and he's won Oscars, and there was a scene where Andrew Garfield's character and Luke Bracey's character Smitty, they jump off the cliff together because Smitty dies.
Yes.
And they needed two people to run up and grab Smitty and lower him down a bit further, and I just happened to be there when he was asking. I said, yeah, I'll do it, because I do as much as I could.
Yeah.
And we get up on the ridge, and Andrew Garfield's there, and he said, shakes my hand, how you going? And Luke Bracey was there, and we had a little bit of a chat. Mel Gibson comes up, and he said, okay, we want you to do this and this. And
all right. Bit of more technical difficulties.
We'll get there, man.
Yeah, more technical difficulties. But we're back on. Before we had that break, we were talking about some interactions with Mel Gibson. So you want to continue about that story about with Mel?
Yes. So we will had a couple with Mel. Some pinch me moments there.
Yeah.
And we were filming at Goulburn. They had this cliff that they were filming at, and it was right near Goulburn Jail. PJ, he was the assistant director. He's been around for a while, and he's assistant directed on Mad Max, Fury Road, and the original Mad Max, and so many Oscar-winning movies. And he sort of said that we need two people, and all the extras were kind of just sitting around. A lot of them were sleeping. And
how did he say it? Was it like, we need two people, or was it like, we need two people?
No, it was it was really full on. It was like, because obviously they've only got a certain amount of daylight to get the shots done, and then, with the clouds coming over, there's only the lighting's got to be so good. Like, they can do it in post, they can edit it in post, but they like it to be spot on without having to change it too much. So we had to quickly get up there, and I just put my hand up. The others, most of the other extras were just sleeping and not really interested, where I was watching everything going on, and because obviously this is the career I want to sort of enter into. And so we sort of went up to the base of the cliff, and Luke Bracey's character Smitty, he dies in a previous battle, and this is after Andrew Garfield's character Desmond Doss has gone through the battle, saving all these men and lowering them down the cliff, and this is a pretty full-on scene. There was no dialogue. It was just raw emotion from. There was basically just three of us in the shot. It was me, Smitty, played by Luke Bracey, and Andrew Garfield, and so I had to run up and lower Smitty down slowly, because obviously he's deceased, and we need to respect the body a bit.
Yes.
And it was quite hard to do that scene, because the cliff was obviously a bit really rocky, and we had to look out for everyone's safety, and so we sort of did a bit of blocking for it, and I basically had to lift Smitty down on my own, and I consider myself fairly strong, but he was sort of 90 kilos, and so we blocked it out and did a couple of rehearsals, and Andrew Garfield comes in halfway through the scene and helps me lower Smitty down. And we did it in one take, and Mel was up there, and he said good job, and Luke Bracey stood up and shook my hand and said well done. So it was a bit of a moment where I was like, I did it. I didn't want to stuff people around. So that was my sort of big featured scene where I get my name in the credits and I get a character, and so it was a really, really big moment and pretty proud moment to do it. So
And speaking of which, you were saying that it only took one take for that. How much is scripted and how much is off the cuff? Just getting in there and doing it.
Yeah, we obviously have a script and to go off. That can be obviously altered a little bit here and there. Obviously, most writers for movies and films, they're really talented at what they do, so they know what they're doing when it comes to writing a good script. But obviously, at the same time, the actor has to understand the writing and the dialogue for him to be able to sort of to be the character. And so if there's something in there that he wouldn't normally say, he could change the word here and there, but generally you have to go to the script because they've got an idea in their head. But yeah, there's a lot of times when you can sort of go off cuff and.
And what about Vince Vaughn? I mean, he comes from the comedian sort of background. So did he have ideas of like just off the cuff, or was he did he sort of follow the script?
Yeah, well, but being a war movie, there's obviously a lot going on, a lot of running and people getting killed and a lot of bombs going off, and so without reading the whole script of his dialogue, I'm sure there would have been a lot of off the cuff stuff that just worked in the moment, because you kind of had to fill the scene in a bit more until the director says cut, obviously.
Yeah. And
sometimes the best moments are when it's off the cuff, like it's just raw, like you're not what comes to you at the moment.
That's right.
So yeah, I'm sure that he would have had a lot of
times like that.
Yeah.
Yeah, definitely. So tell us about that, the whole premiere experience. Where was it? So tell us about the premiere.
Yeah, so all the cast and crew, so I wouldn't say all the main actors, so like Vince Vaughn, Andrew Garfield, they all went to the big red carpet event where all the media is there.
LA?
Yeah, LA, all
the
around the world. And for the cast and crew that were kind of featured, we all got a screening in Newtown. And so that was in October of 2016. So finished filming in December of 2015. And so roughly 10 months. That's obviously the time that they've edited it and got it all set to go. And that was a pretty cool night. It was on a Sunday, and we all got together. All the army guys got together, and we had a few beers and had a few laughs, and we went to the cinema. And seeing yourself on the big screen is. It's a weird feeling. Like you go to the movies as a kid and to see yourself, and it's something you want to do, and it's your passion, and to actually see your name in the credits is even more amazing. Like it's pretty crazy to think that you know in 3.5 months of filming, 4 months filming, they've cut it down to a 2-hour movie.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah.
So
hours and
hours, and we'd watch some scenes, and we'd think back to the day that we filmed it. It was a hot day, and we filmed for 12 hours, and it might be 15-20 seconds of the film. So you think, oh. But at the end of the day, it was an amazing film, and we were all proud to be part of it.
And was that your first sort of red carpet experience?
Yeah, that was my big. Yeah, I've been to the movie screenings, but obviously wasn't a part of them.
Yeah, of course.
To be part of this one and be involved with it was.
And who was your exclusive date? Did you have like a date there?
No, I struggled to find a date at the best of days. No, we all just sort of went out on our own, and I was allowed a plus one, but I'm not the best finding a girl to go somewhere with.
I remember one of my good friends, Yasser.
Oh yeah,
he's doing good with himself. Working with Disney in Hollywood, and every time he has a movie, I'm always like the last person to leave in the cinema. Come on, waiting for it, and then all of a sudden, Yasser Hammer is like, "Yeah, that's my boy." Yeah, and I do remember Hacksaw Ridge, going to the cinema here in Newcastle to watch it. Waiting for you to. I didn't know where you were coming, and all of a sudden I saw you in the, where you're all standing there, listening to Vince Vaughn. It's like, there's the boy.
Yeah.
There's Nathan.
Yeah.
Oh, it was so cool.
I think all my mates work different jobs, and I wanted to all take them all at once and just see it. So I think trying to get everyone was a bit hard. So I think I went to the movies probably 12 times to watch it. With all different kinds of mates, and I took my mum the first time, and she was pretty proud to see me, her son on the big screen.
So once you got that, what was your sort of goal after, it was a huge break for you. So where did you want to go after, or where did you go after that? Did you want to go to the US? Did you want to continue in Australia? What was your plans after this huge success?
Yeah, so I think my goal to go to the States is in the near future.
Right.
But back then in 2015, to the end of 2015, finishing Hacksaw Ridge, my featured scene, you could say, or my feature role, it wasn't enough to kind of put me in the spotlight.
Right.
Still recognisable, but I wouldn't say it was. I had people knocking on my door to give me all roles, but it's.
So did you go to the US after that?
Yeah, so it wasn't until after Hacksaw Ridge, I obviously stayed in Australia just to continue acting in Australia and doing as much as I can. Was in a few TV commercials and the actual meaning of it was.
So you did this one, and the 2 is new.
I did 2 is new. That was a big campaign, and then lots of small ones for ANZ and.
Okay. So then, let's talk about. We were talking about before about going to America. So you actually did go to America.
Yeah.
Tell us about that, and also tell us about your current agent.
Yeah. So my first trip to the States was back in 2012. This is a holiday with 2 friends and one that you know of, Gus.
Oh yes.
Good old Gussie. Went with him and another friend. And that was just as a holiday. I've always loved America, so it was good to see it all. And then I went in 2000 and...
I would think that one was not much of a business.
No, that was more of a party.
Yes.
A party and drinking holiday. But I'll never forget those 8 weeks that we spent over there. Although I do forget some nights. And yeah, so my first trip, I'd say, over there as an actor to kind of suss things out was with my old agent, Paul Bland, and that was in 2019. Right. I went over there, and there was me and 5 other actors from the agency, and we were classed as his like A-grade actors on his books.
All right.
And we've done a number of workshops, a number of courses together. So, and before going over there, he was emailing agents, and you'd think for him as an agent, he'd get some good contacts and be able to set up meetings. But LA is the mecca of acting.
Of course.
They tell it how it is. They're straightforward. If you're not good, they'll tell you you're not good. So he couldn't even get meetings. He got 1 meeting, and that was with Casting Networks, which is a global kind of site for actors with auditions, and
yeah,
it's a really good platform. And so we had a good hour and a half meeting with the head staff over there, and they basically, I sat back a bit in my chair because they told me some hard truths on making it over there as an actor, and it's really hard as an Australian going over there without your papers and just.
So is it the visa that's stopping people?
Well, it's trying to get there's a visa called the O1 visa, and I've looked into it a little bit, but there's so many roadblocks with that. Like some production companies won't hire people on the O1 visa, so even having it, there's still there's still some dead ends. But
can you get like an entertainment visa? Is there some sort of entertainment visa?
Well, that's the O1 visa, and you can only whatever you apply for. Say you're a singer or a painter or a musician. You can only perform those roles that you put on the application. So obviously, me as an actor, I can only go over there and act. So I can't work at a bar or do labouring while I'm not working. It all has to be acting. So you have to go over there with a lot of money behind you. So I think after that trip, that initial trip back at the start of 2019, that kind of made me think of trying to make it a bit more in Australia. So once we got back to Australia, we were in New York, and we had a workshop in Actors Connection, and there was a brochure on the counter for a program. It's called LA Episodic Season,
Right.
where it's basically 22 people get chosen. Yeah, you audition. It's an audition process, and it was a week long program, full on. It was 10 in the morning till 10 at night, and that was in at the Luz Hotel, which is where all the big actors stay for the Academy Awards and the Golden Globes.
Right.
And so, me and another actress, Rebecca, a close friend of mine, she initially applied for it, and she got on the program, and so I applied straight after her, and I was lucky enough to get chosen.
Oh yeah, right.
So we flew back over in October and attended the program, and got lots of meetings, and got to perform in front of some casting directors and agents over there. But even still, like, their first question to me was, do I have my papers?
Right.
So whilst they said I was a good actor and that I need to be over there, which gave me a bit of a confidence boost, considering the whole course was in American accent. I've never been formally trained, so it was just basically what I think.
Yes.
And for them to say, you know, it's pretty good what you have at the moment, but with some accent training, you'd nail it. Yeah, that was still, you know, no papers. So, but in saying that, I got a lot of contacts and a lot of references, and that would sort of, you know, would write me a letter of recommendation if I was to apply for the O1 visa.
Right.
And yeah, I think that just made me think that I need to be back in Australia for a little bit,
right,
and just work on my craft over here, make a name for myself here first, and then audition for roles in the States.
Right. So, who is your current agent at the moment?
So my current agent at the moment is, once I got back from the States in October, I kind of had a realisation that I need to sort of step away from my old agent and sort of go for something bigger.
Right.
Knowing that I've got more to offer in the industry.
Yes.
So I had a Skype meeting with Gina Stodge. She's based here in Newcastle, actually.
Oh, really? That's great. Yeah. Right.
So, but she also has offices in Sydney, LA, and New York. So she has that connection to the States.
So, what is her background? What is her background as an agent? Has she done previous movies?
Yeah, so she's pretty well known in Australia as an agent, and so she started out as an actress years and years ago, you know,
right,
and then obviously wanted to be a casting agent, and so she's been doing it for, you know, 15 plus years.
That's great.
And her books, she doesn't have a lot of people on her books, so
that's good.
It's good.
Yeah.
And the roles that I go for are all featured roles. They're all big roles, supporting roles. So it's nothing small. And yeah, so I've been with her now for coming up to 3 months, and I've already had 3 auditions.
So I'm assuming that there's not very many agents here in Newcastle. We're getting back to what we were saying before about just not having the, you know, enough here to do acting and having roles and plays, and having to go to Sydney to sort of do that sort of stuff. But that's great to hear that they've got agents here in Newcastle, like maybe try and promote it in the future, maybe.
I mean, yeah. So I mean, there are. I applied for a couple of jobs not long ago, and one was for the Anchorage, which is out at Nelson Bay.
Right.
And so obviously there was a small film crew and filming just promotion stuff for them. So I applied for that, but there's not many jobs that come up in Newcastle for actors. So yeah, it's good to have her in Newcastle, even though all of my auditions are in Sydney. I still have to travel to Sydney. But if I need to have a meeting with her or go for coffee, I'm 20 minher away instead of driving 2 hours just to see my agent.
Very convenient.
It is. So and so she, all her jobs that she gets cast for is for Sydney jobs. So, and also, like I said, she's got that connection to LA and New York if I ever do get my papers sorted. And
that's great.
Yeah.
Well, one thing that we haven't sort of spoken about, and it's always, for me personally, it's something that I'm not really interested in. Reality TV.
Oh, yes,
Now, you have been involved in reality TV as well.
I have.
So tell us a bit about what you've done in reality TV and just your opinion before you started and your opinion now of what you think of reality TV.
I've done some stand-in work for the Bachelor. So yeah, that was through my agent, and basically I was the pretend bachelor at the mansion. And it was for the opening night when all the ladies rock up in the limousine and the bachelor's standing there in this lovely garden with candles and all romantic. And so I was basically standing wherever the bachelor stands, and they set the cameras up in the gardens, hidden from view of obviously the TV. So when people are watching it on TV, they don't see where the cameras are, so it looks real. Without going into detail, because obviously I signed a confidentiality agreement with it, but it's just a lot of like set up things and scripted, and I don't see how anyone could fall in love on a reality love show when you've got a film crew surrounding you and you've got lighting and a set.
Yeah. Okay, stop. No, you got to do it again.
Exactly. Yeah, you're passionately kissing, and then they say, "Nope, sorry, got to do it again."
Yeah.
I just don't understand it. So,
how reality is that?
I mean, I did it for obviously I got paid just basically just to stand there and look pretty and
But Nathan, the thing is, you turn on Australian TV, and every single channel on free to air is reality show of a night time.
I know.
It's crazy.
It's getting ridiculous, and it's all to be honest, it's all crap. There's nothing.
Yeah, you're right.
A lot of it's dating shows and then they do these dating shows, and I think the people that go on there, they want their 15 minutes of fame because
yeah, of course, yeah.
None of them work out. None of them, all these love shows, they all break up. And then they come on the radios and they make out that they've been hard done by, but it's like you've put yourself in that situation where they say how that they get badly edited, and it's like because they're making a TV show.
It's a TV show.
It's not
ratings.
Yes, it's all about ratings when it comes to TV shows, and if they're getting bad ratings, then it won't be on again.
Yeah.
And so I did actually. I went through a bit of a patch where I wasn't getting any roles, and I was watching all these people from these reality shows, and all of a sudden that you see them on TV doing cameo appearances on Home and Away or something like that, and you think, oh, maybe I should go down that path and just get go in the back door.
Yes.
But then I thought, no, it's not how I want to do it. They're not real actors.
That's right.
They're just there because they've got a following.
Yeah. Like when you're busting your guts for years and years trying to make it.
Yeah.
And then all of a sudden you see somebody on a reality TV show, not trained, done nothing, just going on there and just being,
Yep.
How does that make you feel?
It's frustrating as an actor because I've done so many unpaid short films, and I've travelled to Sydney multiple times during the week for a 4-hour call. I'm pretty much just covering cost of fuel, and so I don't do it for the money, but I just love doing it. And then you see these people that because they've got a following on Instagram or something, and that obviously, and I think that as well that gives the show a bad name in a way because they're getting people on there for the ratings. They know they've got a following on Instagram or Facebook, so they know they're going to get people tuning in to watch it.
Yes.
So, I mean, I don't know if I'd call them actors, and you couldn't see them doing a feature film or
no, definitely not. They'd have to have a budget of
so that is irritating, but I do like the fact that there's so many. I mean, and the TV shows that are on now on free to air, they're recycling the same actors. Mm-hmm. So you see the same people on, whether it's Packed to the Rafters or The Offspring or Doctor. It's the same actors.
Yes.
Because they know they're bankable. Which is fair enough when you're investing money into a show, but I've worked with so many talented actors out there that are just waiting for that break, and it's like it feels like you never get it because I don't, because it's the same actors, and it's like, please just give us a chance to show our skills. So that's why I like these, like obviously Netflix and Stan, and there's like so many streaming sites now that you can. There's all these new shows, and which is giving a lot of not known actors a go.
I like the HBO series. I know it's not Australian, but I love the fact that like you said, it gives these. They'd never get a chance on like a mainstream sort of TV commercial TV, but HBO gives them a chance, and I love those. I love those shows because they pretty much go, okay, guys, do what you want.
Yep.
And well, to an extent, let's just see how it goes. Give it a chance.
Exactly, because they've got nothing to lose.
Yeah. Well, I recently saw George Costanza, Jason Alexander from Seinfeld, and if they weren't given the opportunity, I mean, they created something out of nothing.
Yeah,
and
Seinfeld.
All of a sudden, it's the biggest.
Yeah.
You know, but they just kept working at it and working at it and working at it.
Yeah.
And I look at it from that way, where they busted their gut and they worked so hard to become the best TV show, and then all of a sudden they come back home. I want to watch some good TV and reality show, Big Brother, Bachelorette, Who Wants to Marry a Farmer or whatever.
Oh,
so
I think I've seen a trailer for a new reality show, Pooch Perfect, and Rebel Wilson is the host. And it's about dogs getting made over, and they walk on a catwalk, and I just think, what is the world coming to? What? And I can see it being a flop because it's just
run out of ideas.
It's just I don't know. Like there's so many creative people out there, writers, and
of course,
and that's why like the last sort of 2 years I've been doing a lot of short films, and my most successful one would be Voices. We filmed in Gosford.
Yes.
Only an hour down the road. And I auditioned on Star Now. That it's a platform that actors can go onto and audition and directors post things. And so I got that through that. And we filmed that over a few weekends in Goulburn. And that was about domestic violence and alcoholism. So my character was... he was the voice in this guy's head. So when he drinks...
Another very intense role for you.
Yeah, I get all the crazy characters.
If you're not a crazy character, you're a police officer.
Yeah, I get a lot. Yeah, I think from being in the military, I get a lot of the detective and soldiers and.
Yes.
But yeah, so Voices has done really well in the last sort of, I guess, 12 to 18 months.
That's great.
It's been entered into a number of film festivals, and that's what I like as well. Film festivals, because there might be a 10-minute short film, but you never know who's going to see it.
Yes.
Where with Voices, it's been entered into about 10, and at the moment it's won 3.
Oh, that's great.
Which is pretty like, it mightn't seem much, but it's through all the entries, it's pretty amazing that it's done really well, and it actually made it to the Real Film Festival in LA.
Yeah, right. That's amazing.
So to know that I'm being seen in LA, it's...
You never know who's going to see it, mate.
You just never know. It's one of those industries that's luck and timing and in the right place at the right time.
Yeah. So is that where you see yourself going in the future, like short films, or you still want to pursue the acting career?
Yeah, so I feel
Can you do both?
Yeah. So I feel short films are really good for actors that still trying to sort of work on their craft, and because a lot of it is like some of them are student films, so it might be a master's degree for UTS in Sydney, and so you have that ability that you can go in there and you can kind of do whatever, you can take risks where it's not it is important, but kind of you have control in a way because they want you, so
right,
and you can walk in and you can explore different ways, and you can take risks. And it doesn't matter if you stuff up, because everyone stuffs up in life. But,
yeah.
So I love doing short films because a lot of them are really well written, and like I said, they go to festivals,
you never know what's going to come of it. So the director from Voices actually has a role for me. He's had it written for about 10 years. It's a feature film, and my character is a psychopath. So I don't know what that is saying about me, but he said to me, "I've got the role. I don't need an audition because of my previous work on Voices, where I'm playing a bit of a psycho character. So it's good when you don't have to audition for something. So I'm pretty excited about that, and that's going to be a full feature film, like an hour and a half long. So
that's amazing. That's so cool, mate.
Yeah. So he's sort of tweaking the script at the moment and looking for funding as well. That's another big part of it. I mean, I don't mind doing things for free. You're acting, so any time I can get to act is amazing. But obviously, you need money to live, and
yes,
as an actor, you find a side job to get you going. And
so, talking about your side job, what are you doing currently at the moment?
So at the moment, this is going to be a bit of a wild one. I'm working with camels.
Camels?
Yeah, so the one hump camels.
Tell us about that. That's the story behind that, I'm sure.
Yeah, so
how did you get involved?
So basically, it's a family-run business, and I've been around the family for quite a while.
Right.
My stepbrother actually married into the family, so my first ever ride on a camel was into his wedding.
Oh wow!
Yeah, so
camels in the wedding. That's original.
Yeah, so there was four camels, and because they're all farm people, and they've been around animals their whole life, so it was fitting for them to do that. And then his wife Emily, she actually rode. It was a horse and carriage. Rode in. Her dad was steering and controlling it. But 2 years ago, at Christmas time, that's their busiest period. They do the camel rides out at Barooby Beach.
Nice. So for the listeners overseas, where is Barooby Beach?
So it's in Port Stephens, in a bay. It's quite well known.
Just outside of Newcastle?
Yep. And it's a massive lot of sand dunes that goes for 32 kilometres, or about 20 miles to all the American listeners.
Beautiful part of the world.
It is, and they're the largest moving sand dunes in the Southern Hemisphere, so they're very popular. The original Mad Max actually got filmed in part of the dunes, so a lot of history. And so we do camel rides for people. And so as I was saying, 2 years ago, I got asked to sort of fill in for a couple of days. I was very busy, and from those few days, it turned into, can you keep working? Can you keep working? I'm like, well, I'm pursuing my acting. And they're happy to work around me. And so I've been doing it for 2 years now, in between acting, and keeps my bank balance afloat.
Yeah, right.
I've raced on camels without being around animals as a child, or, I had a fish, but I'm not a real farm person. But I've picked up all the skills to become a camel trainer and handler.
Well, how do you balance that with going down to Sydney all the time and learning all your lines? How do you balance that?
Yeah, so I find a good thing with the camel rides is when I'm leading the camels, they're a 20-minute ride. So if I've got a script to learn, I'll read it in my mind, go over it in my head as I'm walking the camels, because it's quite a quiet ride.
Yes.
And you're sort of on your own. And so I find that helps. And they're really flexible, so if I've got an audition last minute, I can easily have the day off and go do an audition. So it kind of fits with me. If I wasn't doing the camels, obviously I'd probably go work at a bar, or you hear of a lot of, especially in America, every waitress and waiter is an actor.
Of course.
And they're obviously on not the best money. They're working with tips. But my previous trip over there, we were chatting. Every waitress at a bar or a restaurant would say, oh, what do you do this full time? They're like, well, I'm an actress and I'm just trying to make ends meet.
Trying to make it in the big world.
Yeah, waiting for that big break. So, but no, the camels are going really good. And I actually, one of my short films that I got a cameo spot in, they used a camel in the film.
Oh, right.
Yeah, it was the opening shot of the film, and once again I play a dodgy service station attendant. So. One of those angry characters again. I don't know what it is about me. I think I'm a nice guy, but I don't know. I don't want to get sort of typecast into
yeah, that's right.
But I'll take what I can get. So
the camels are really good, and I'm out in the sun, at the beach every day.
Nice and relaxed.
Yeah.
Not behind a desk,
No, not behind the desk. And as I said, it's really flexible, but I'm just waiting for that break.
All right, Nate. Let's wrap it up. So let's finish up by. I want to ask the question. So, what does the future hold? Like a move over to the US and scripts, and just tell us about what's the plan for the future.
Yeah, so still obviously training and keeping creative. A lot of my acting friends are in Sydney. I don't have most of my mates here in Newcastle aren't actors, and they kind of sometimes they don't understand why would I drive 2 hours to Sydney for a 5-minute audition.
Yes, of course.
So a lot of my acting friends are in Sydney, and we're sort of at the moment we're sort of trying to create some content and film some little skits here and there, just to keep the mind going and the creative juices flowing, as they say.
Yes.
And then whether we post it on YouTube or make a little mini series out of it, you just never know. So we're planning to get together and throw around some ideas to each other and film some stuff. I'm looking at getting an accent coach or doing an American accent course. It's all in Sydney, so it's trying to work it around. The schedule is quite hard sometimes, but. So I have that, the feature film that the director has got me in mind for.
Yes.
He's also got another short film that he wants me to play a father in that, which will be start filming soon, I think. I haven't seen the script, but it's on the cards. The O1 visa, as I mentioned earlier, I think that's probably not going to be something that I'd pursue because, like I said, there's so many roadblocks, and I have entered into the green card lottery, which is another avenue, and that basically allows you to become a citizen of the state of America, and I think it's about 50,000 people they pick a year.
Right.
So I'm in the lottery for 2021, so I can find out in May of this year whether I've been picked. So basically, that'll give me the chance to move over to the States and pursue the acting over there.
That's great.
But as for here now, it's just sort of auditions. That I'm waiting on. I had an audition a couple of weeks ago, waiting to hear back from that. Fingers crossed. But I kind of at the moment I do my audition and forget about it because you can go stir crazy. You go to an audition and if you start thinking, I wonder if I've got it.
Yes.
You can't do that. You've just got to go in, do what you do, be confident what you've done. And it's out of your hands then. You've done what you can do.
That's the one thing I like about you, Nath. Ever since I've known you, or even before I knew you, you always had this sort of passion to be like an aspiring actor. I love hearing stories like this that, they live and breathe it,
Yeah.
There's no sort of acting or being forced to do something. I just love it when someone like that just, I don't care what anybody else thinks. Just I want to do it. This is my life. This is my dream.
Yeah.
So, mate, from my opinion, just stick with it and keep going, mate.
Yeah, you can't give up. So you just got to keep going.
Yeah, exactly. Last thing, is there anything that you want to promote? Is there anything like a website or something that listeners can get more information about you?
Yeah, so you can...
or any sort of your agent?
Yeah, so if anyone wants to obviously follow me, I'm on Instagram, Halls523.
Mm-hmm.
Obviously on Facebook, you can follow me on Facebook, Nathan Halls. I could probably give the details to you, Craig, and you can kind of add this onto your podcast. But
and do you have like an acting profile as well?
Yeah, so I'm on
I've already been on there before.
Yeah, so I'm on Star Now as well. That's a good outlet for me to get short films and student films. Keep my training up. I'm on casting networks.
And what's the name of your agent again, just for everybody again?
Gina Stodge.
Gina Stodge.
She's in Lambton in Newcastle. So yeah, if anyone wants to sort of follow me on Facebook and see what I'm up to, I wouldn't say I'm a big Instagram person. I post things now and then, but I'll be posting a few of my short films at the moment. It's hard to sort of post them on social media when they're in festivals because the director doesn't really like you
course.
You know,
copyright.
Yeah. So once I get the go ahead to post them, they'll be on my Facebook, so everyone can view my short films, and so fingers crossed I can get a break in the near future.
All right, Nathan. Thanks very much, mate.
No worries, Craig.
Cheers.